It was raining. The kind of sooty, dirty rain that always fell in the metropolis city zone. Filled with the smog and dust continually pumped out by the city's many factories. It was the kind of rain you couldn't stand in for long periods of time without getting filthy. Through the haze, it was just possible to see the lights of the cars crossing the main bridge that spanned the central aqueduct, travelling home for the evening. The traffic was thick at this time of day, and the honking of horns a distant background noise. In the skies overhead flew the ever-present and ever-watchful Seekers, the eyes, wings, and claws of the Dominion, capable of plummeting swiftly down on any target. They were nameless shapes in the gloom, a mere suggestion of movement in a swirl of cloud, but they were definitely there. With the rain coming down, she could feel the cold in her bones, the wind pressing her matted fiery red hair to her body. Sally knew she was going to need a long, vigorous wash once this mission was over, but it certainly couldn't be helped now. She had to be at her post. She shut it all out of her mind and focused on the scene before her. Standing there, watching the bridge through her enhanced sight goggles, the display on the internal lens telling her the relative speed of every vehicle she saw. She didn't like the city. It was closed in, dirty, loud and foul, and it made her first stand on end to think of actually living here. Her job, her mission and purpose was the only thing that compelled her to remain. If it were up to her, she would spend her life far away from this terrible place. Why anyone in their right mind would actually choose to live here was beyond her ability to grasp. Whatever the city might once have been, it was a dried-out, corrupted husk now. She risked a quick glance at her watch. 7:45. It was almost time. Adjusting the scope of her goggles, she glanced up and down the bridge, just waiting for any sign of the oncoming convoy. From her position on the rooftop of a building on one side of the aqueduct, she could see everything she needed to and more besides. Looming just in the distance, high over the city, and towering up to the sky, was Robotnik's Citadel. The Citadel was a massive construction, a huge dome that dwarfed the buildings around it and surrounded on all sides by support structures, including its own power plant and communications depot. Its curved, almost egg-like structure gleamed with its metallic surface, even in the pale evening light. Lights from various points around its structure outlined the mammoth shape, giving its silhouette an ominously large appearance against the smog. It was from there that all the evil in the world spread, and from there that a tyrant ruled this world with an iron fist. A swift bleeping from the electronics in her goggles caught her attention, and she quickly looked down. The traffic that was attempting to use the bridge had been diverted by a nasty-looking squadron of SWAT bots, the drivers being directed in no uncertain terms to clear the way. The cars already on the bridge were quickly being cleared. In no time at all, the bridge was completely clear. Then the convoy itself lumbered into view. The first to attempt the crossing were several large mobile assault vehicles with motorbug Badnik escort on either side. They were large mobile platforms with machine gun turrets at every corner, a SWAT bot manning each post. They were merely the vanguard. Once they had come some distance onto the bridge, the tanker itself appeared. It was a colossal hulk with receiver dishes and sensor antennae attached to its top, along with several cumbersome tanks jutting out around the centre. The red triangle of the Dominion was stamped proudly on the side. It was a chemical payload hauler, a heavy-capacity carrier vehicle from the chemical plant zone just outside the city limits, down the coast to the south. The infamous distillation facility did not possess an aerodrome of its own, and as such, its products were moved up to the airship port in Metropolis. Even now, undoubtedly, a freighter airship was standing by to deliver the cargo to its ultimate destination. Sally began to make a quick note of the escort protecting this crucial target. The robots alongside and the amount of seekers and helicopters in the air following from above. Slowly, she reached up and turned the lapel of her blue jacket up, revealing the small communications node attached underneath.
The tanker is on the bridge now. 20 SWAT-bot guards, 3 TMAT units, 5 seeker escorts, and a few choppers.
She said slowly and calmly into the device that crackled with electronic static back at her. Then she smiled.
Nothing you can't handle.
One of the Seekers had noticed that something was moving along the support structure of the bridge, and it turned to look at it with its zooming optics. Whatever the anomaly was, it was racing up from the base of the city aqueduct that the bridge spanned, and then up along the cables, a seemingly impossible feat of speed and agility. The Seeker dived down to investigate at once. It emerged from the protective covering of smog and revealed its true form as a robotic bird of prey, with large, several-meter-long wings with mounted laser turrets on the underside. That was what the Hedgehog had been waiting for. He burst forward with a flash of intense speed, racing up the vertical shaft of the bridge support with no seeming effort to the gravity-defying stunt. Then he launched himself out into midair with a colossal leap, spinning several times in an acrobatic stunt that seemed to defy the laws of motion, and landed atop the robot's back. The helicopters all above turned to shine their searchlights down on him, giving him the spotlight he loved so much when doing his favourite job. He grinned down at the watching people and made a thumbs-up gesture with one hand. The short blue-fused quills that matched the fur covering the rest of his body, and his bright green-tinged eyes gleaming brightly in that light.
Alright, let's get this show on the road!